Hello and welcome to today's Wild Hearthstone deck tech and gameplay video on what I'm calling Reno Beast Buff, which is, in reality, a combination of a couple of decks. Besides just the generally good, Reno support or singleton support cards, including the new Theldurin the Lost, we want to use all of these really good payoffs and also a load of buffing, since the old Theldurin here, which this card alone made me want to try this deck out. Theldurin not only, besides wanting you to build in a singleton direction, wants you to buff up the card's stats enough to where it can do a lot of damage and act as as either and or a sweeper if you need it to be, or it can actually, because it will gain immune, can actually be used as sort of a burn spell, weirdly enough. So, to do all of the buffing, we have various cards like the Hope of Quel'Thalas and Lorthamar, amongst little things like, say, 10-gallon hat and other bits and bobs of buffing here and there. We also buff a good amount of beast, since it's another aspect that Hunter likes to do, and again, in this case, the bovine skeleton was another one of the cards that made me want to try this list. But beyond Reno cards and good creatures to buff, and the just general linear, admittedly kind of not kind of boring plan of playing a Reno deck like this, we also have some card draw and recursion, since we can't rely on duplicate copies of cards. We have cards like Stitched Tracker and even Conjured Arrow and Dun Baldar Bunker, as, again, also amongst other ways, as ways to just draw more cards so that you don't feel the downsides of running Reno as much. And in reality, even in games where you don't happen to hit the draw, all these, quote, draw spells, I mean, you still do pretty well. Like, you don't, even then, when the deck doesn't, quote, do well, it still does fine. And also, a weird little extra bit, besides having, I guess, the Don Baldar Bunker, we do have bits of control tools here and there. Well, control tools with air quotes you can't see me making. Like your trap cards, not trap cards, the secret cards. Don't know why I call it that. We also have, the Hope of Quel'Thalas can be a control tool, and also with the several copies that we will get, not only from the initial Hope, but with the Horde Pillager and the Rummaging Kobold, we'll end up getting a whole lot of Quel'Thalas triggers and really accelerate our buffing plan until we play really just super big scary things like Big Spur Fangs or King Crushes or even Banjosaurs as sort of that top-end threat to hopefully close out the game. And that is the basics of the list. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future, and if you have any sort of, questions like, I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally, nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. In terms of, we gotta be honest, actually, I was gonna say in terms of, budget recommendations, it is both kind of lenient on a budget and also really not. Just think about all the legendaries that are just required for this to work. And we'll just take the Reno cards as an example. So there's one legendary, 2 with Theldurin. Let's see, honestly 4 with Spurfang, because this is another one of those cards that made me want to build the list. Hope of Quel'Thalas is 4, Reno is 5, Lorthamar is kind of 6, but even if you don't count that, Reno is 6. It's like 6 legendaries at a minimum that you sort of need for the deck to work. But I guess if you happen to have those, then the rest of the list is weirdly budget friendly, and you can just sort of put in what cards you might have access to beyond that. So it's both a budget friendly list and not a budget friendly list, depending on what issue you have with the list, if that makes sense. Anywho, with all that out of the way, We shall now go on to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little Reno Beast Buff Hunter. And, well, I'm going to keep all of these, including King Crush. We're going to keep the King Crush if it happens to be a slower list and we just need to buff up King Crush a whole bunch. But if it's aggro, all the rest of the hand is like somewhat adept at dealing with like the pirate aggro-y decks of the world, or even like enraged lists that are pretty aggressive. We're pretty well suited with this either way. Of course, if our opponent isn't here, then it doesn't matter. Okay, so they're there. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll go ahead and keep the coin. It's fine. Granted, the bunker is not going to draw us that much, but you know, if it draws us only like 1 or 2 cards, it's fine. It's not like as great if let me rephrase that. Of course, the card is better if you can get, you know, all 3 turns of the bunker, always drawing you a card and always, you know, reducing their cost. Of course. But even if it only draws, you know, like 1 or 2, it's fine. I mean, 1 isn't great, but like, you know, if it's 2 mana for 2, it's like fine. Oh, come on. Don't beat him here, people. Okay, so they're being intentionally BM, so I'm going to have to fill what is in theory a load of downtime. Shield block doesn't necessarily indicate anything, but okay, all of the armor they're gaining. What is that? Well, hang on, let me see real fast. I guess Wandering Monster and an Explosive Trap, just to play things to thin out our hand. I think it's like Odin or whatever, that legendary that, like, whenever you gain armor, you gain that much attack. Is that what's happening here? Because that's the only thing I can think of. Or maybe it is just some, like, Excavate Warrior thing? And to be fair... Okay, now... Is it Reno? To be fair, I've seen versions of the Odin thing be Reno since Warrior got access to that... To the Reno brand, whatever version that one's called. So maybe that's what's happening here. I guess we'll just coin out the Cattle Wrestler. Why not? That's okay. Our Twisted Frostwing is another, like, lovely little card that, like, I did not think would be, like... I didn't think it was going to be bad when I saw the card. But in a list like this, it's, like, really good and a lot of fun. I'm almost certain that it's Reno now, because there's so many weird singleton cards. So we're not going to be able to, like, get a whole lot of like, what's the word? A lot of damage in, even if you consider, especially when considering, not to mention all the armor they're just going to naturally gain by being a warrior, but the inevitable, either old Reno or the new Reno, so we both can't push a lot of damage, as well as have too big of a board without just losing it for no reason. Sure, we'll do the Frostwing. Why not? Again, just kind of play cards out. Don't want to go too wide and too big of a board, since they're doubtless going to have some degree of answers. I could, and I guess my earlier comment about that, I think it's Odin or whatever the legendary armor dude is. That's also proving my point a little bit. But yeah, I'd be very surprised, especially with this card, that they don't have. Well, if they don't have that card, but I don't know what they're doing beyond a Reno thing. But they are doing things and they're playing cards. But, like, sort of none of it matters. Oh yeah, that does damage. That's actually kind of helpful. guess this will let us see what it is. So it's spell, which is fine. In that case, we'll do the Madness. Another one of those cards that really helped to push me over the edge in deciding to make this list. We'll go ahead and trade there. This little interesting card that I had always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to put in some sort of Beast Buffy list thing. And this does exactly that. Or this is a list where that is particularly welcome, is a better way to word that. I wish this card was good. in the time of testing with this very list. Just for the sake of running this card to test it, I don't know where this has a home. I mean, clearly in a duplicate deck, but in one that makes sense. There's just nothing there. If you're running a Reno deck and you're just looking for value, there are better ways. Elementals as a tribe are not the best bodies in the world, so you're not even getting good bodies on average. They do have a good degree of synergy and a whole lot of that whole elemental chain thing, but it's so random that you can't plan around it. And if you're an elemental deck in any class that has any kind of elemental support, there are better things to do than this. Now, admittedly, as a Tauren player all of my life in WoW, for my 10 years on and off I've played the game, the art is fucking sick. Anywho, face with the rest of it. Let's not be rude. Guess we'll actually just go face with the Dispatch Kodo. At this stage, I think we just want to kind of force our opponent to have some sort of answer. Because if they don't, I kill him this turn. That'll do it. And that's fine. We're actually okay with that. Don't do that, Max, because you can't play anything else anyway. So weird that Zephs is actually the best call here. It's the only thing I can play that makes any sense. And I'm not going to Reno for one. Sure. I don't love that, but sure. This Zephs might look really weird, but it's basically was a tempo Zephs. Although I would argue more so it's the only thing that isn't actively bad. Deep Miner Brand. That's the name of the card. Is he dead? Wait, hang on. Do I? 9-4. Okay, definitely not dead now. Oh well, that's fine. Our opponent is doing things. It has to be said. In that case, I think I just want to flood the board and just make him use things. Oh, well, that's fucking terribly useful. Thanks. God, you forget how, because usually, and this might be a very obvious statement, but to newer players, Beast are another one of those tribes, because it's been around literally as long as Hearthstone has, all 10 years or whatever the game has been around. Especially in Wild, there's a whole lot of shit-ass beasts that are just god-awful. Like this, and you'd never ever run it for any reason ever. So if you are playing this at home, do as I try to do normally, in that save your Spur Fang if you can until it gets to a minimum of 6 attack. Because even then, as you get above 6 and 7, there's not bad beast. There might be boring vanilla beasts that are just stats on a body, but that's better. Even some Ultrasaur style card is fucking better than Singleton Swarmer. If that makes any sense. Well, I know what I'm doing this turn. Oh, please waste any amount of your board on this stupid bet. I'll take that 6 health for free or whatever. Yeah. In the off chance we get one of the shots that summons a dude. Or draw. That works. Sadly, we haven't done, like, the most amount of buffing here, and this is, like, more so speaking to, like, the Reno nature of this thing. Not only on our deck, but our opponent's deck. Excavate is a weird choice to have here, but I guess it's not bad. Just odd. Even now, I don't think those Rift cards are good at all. I mean, they're good Reno filler in that they're, like, fine, but they're not good. I guess we're getting low enough. I think we're just going to cycle the Famished Fool and just hope. 10-gallon hat's not bad. Just looking for something here, and I'm not getting anything. This is very brutal. Now, it does have to be said, I have liked this card, and this deck as a whole. But it's like, how do I word this? At gold 8 or whatever, I'm very, and this might be user error, but I'm very much so feeling like I've hit the upper echelon of what this deck can do. Now, maybe, again, it's a bad build. Very, very possible. I don't doubt that. But, like, there are just classes with better Reno payoffs. And while this is good, it is good. It's not like, you know, the shit like Priest has, or like even, what's it fucking called? Druid now has. There are just better Reno payoffs than this weird, like, this weird little, like, damage board wipe. Again, it's fine, but, you know, it's not gonna, like, make people lose their minds. They're getting a whole lot of armor. Let's just remove some of their creatures. That, you know what? Weirdly, I'm using that. If he doesn't attack this turn, I can Vicious Scale, Hide, and Serpent Bloom into their big boy here, the mole. Oh, I remember one of my points from earlier, I guess, while I'm trying to fill dead air. God damn. Okay, I think my turn remains the same. Oh, yeah. But anywho, I think that Warrior and Death Knight probably have the best Excavate payoffs. The Ox is one that I have done some testing with, but I do have an Excavate list in both Warrior and in Death Knight, and I think the Death Knight payoffs are a little higher. Or the Death Knight payoff is higher than the Ox, but they're both good. The rest are just, like, far too memey to work. I'm scared because I have sort of played all my sweeper. And I have a sweeper, but it's not good. And I need to, like, buff this thing up a hell of a lot more than it is now. Well, that's very useful. Thanks, game. I don't like this, but yeah, our original plan is the same, though the target has changed. Lich King needs to go. What's this one? Cards cost 5. Guess we can 10-gallon hat. It's not the most helpful here. What's the most damage we can do here? So we could pop 3 to 5 goes there, and that clears the majority of his board. It's not great, but this is like what keeps us alive. In theory, anyway. We could be very well dead. And this is actually a good showing for this card. Again, it's not bad. It's just, like, not good kind of thing. Like, it's fine. Again, it's fine. It's, I guess, mid is, like, the most appropriate way to describe it. But, man, like, it's just not quite there. And even if you take the Deep Miner Brand that our opponent played earlier, if you had to run a class for Reno, the Deep Miner Brand is just a fucking better card than this card is. Old Theldurin the Lost or whatever. That dude from... what is name of that dungeon in the Badlands that I never go to because I always played Horde and it was such a nightmare to get there all the time. And, like, the rewards were crap, except for the trio of dwarves that this guy comes from, I believe, where it gave us weird Horde only gear, whatever the name is of the card, and whatever its origin is. Like, it's not better than Deep Miner Bran. It's not better than the Ray Straza or whatever the hell that Druid has. It's not better than any of the, like, 3 or 4 different payoffs that Priest has. So it's like, and it's such a weird spot, and it doesn't, like, have a good identity. And we're just dead, aren't we? I forgot about the... Well, that's fine. You know what, to be fair, we didn't get a whole lot of buffing happening that game, so we were in for a rough time. Still had fun, though. And still, like, it's a fine showing of the list, because this game will happen a lot, where, like, the deck is okay, sort of by virtue of having, like, all of the Reno singleton payoff cards, but if you can't do the buffing and get, like, absolutely fucking ridiculously large creatures out, like, it does hurt your win rate, like a considerable amount. Now, do I have hard numbers? No, but it's not good. Anywho, on to game number 2. And game number 2 with our little Reno Beast Buffy list. Cobalt's bad. I don't think we're... Yeah, we'll get rid... Honestly, the whole hand can go. The Dispatch Kodo isn't great. In my experience in testing, the thing you see the most is, like, some, what's the term? Some Plague Death Knight thing with that Helga card, and you just have to deal with that a whole lot. And to that, you just need to, like, get big very fast. We'll go ahead and keep the coins. We have the Hope for Quel'Thalas, or Hope of Quel'Thalas in our hands. That's a pretty good thing to coin into. That's fine. We'll do a 10-gallon hat. Okay, that works. That's something. If we can, I'd like to save an explosive trap when their board's a little bit bigger. Since, I mean, well, they haven't told me that much, but the gold panner dude is, like, I would argue a good aggressive card, but I could also be very wrong. Sure, we'll do a buzzard, why not? Anything that, you know, just buffs our stuff. Let's see, turn 4, we have options. I think I can actually, like... Well, hold on, I can do... Now, we'll just play the audio bots regularly. Guess we'll start chipping away into the gold painter, because it's starting to become a problem. And yeah, we'll keep the coin again for the hope next turn. Although, I will be honest, the Posic guy is a little weird. I do have a deck stored up. Okay, they have to be Reno. There's just so many weird cards in their list. But I have, like, a list how am I trying to word this better? I do have a hunter list that is like a junk mill where you just fill your opponent's hand up with, like, fluff and weird stuff and try and get them to, like, mill with cards like Cold Light. But I think that deck is still, like, pretty firmly in the meme territory. That sucks. Okay, we're gonna coin, and if the coin gets countered, it doesn't. That's odd. Sure. In that case, oh, I need to actually... It is minions, so I have to start chumping into the Blade Master here so I can play Arthelderin. Losing Reno, it just sucks. There's not really a way around it, but, like, I think we'll be okay. Doesn't feel good. let's have that out there in the world. Okay, what are we doing here, opponent? More things that are further confirming my suspicions that it is a Reno deck. It's literally the first time I've ever seen that card hard run in a list ever. I don't even think I've seen it generated. Okay, you're drawing a lot of cards. You're doing the thing. We're probably gonna die, but this needs to happen. This will give us a big old Thelder in here. And then this will summon the other audio bot, but I can always pop into that with a scale hide and get some health back. I don't like the fact that we buffed up their thing, but this is one of those, we had to do it, otherwise we were going to die. And better to be in a worse position but alive than the opposite. I don't think there's a way we die here. Like, I think we're okay. Could be wrong, but I'm not immediately certain as to how we would die. Oh, if he had Reno, he could have like bopped in the head and like got a fireball or something. So okay, no, there's ways we die there. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that. I actually think we're gonna play an explosive trap. Probably a 10-gallon hat. And I guess a Wandering Monster? This should clear their board, and even if they attack with the Necrotic Mortician first, the, what's it called? The Wandering Monster should help to combat that. Yeah, I'll take a dude. There's a perfectly fine card to generate. Still feeling good. I think I'm still somewhat convinced of the Reno possibility of this list, as I have not seen a duplicate yet, I believe. Okay, and especially with Astalor, they're just running generally good cards, sort of devoid of an overall package, other than like sort of just, you know, a safe, boring, almost like incremental growth of value. I guess we'll do a Zephs for like a board wipe and hopefully get one. Like a Blizzard, maybe. Chaos Nova is fine also, and actually leaves my Zephs alive, although it does die to a hero power, so there is that. We'll see if that's what he does, because that's the million-dollar question. King Crush is at a 10, which is something. God, I wish this... Sadly, this is one of those, like, card has not kept up with the times, but damn it, I love it. That is bad. Dear God, that's very bad. And I can't even reliably freezing trap the thing. That really sucks. Get out of here. That is the goddamn worst. What do I even do here? I guess we can Cattle Wrestler and try and find something. Okay, that's a card. It resolves. I don't love it, but fine. I guess we have to try with the freezing trap, even though he clearly has a brain and is going to attack with a Scarab first. How much damage do I have on board if he just ignores it altogether? 13, 23, goes to 24 next turn when buffed, so we're not there on that front either. Yeah, this has not been the best showing for this list, but this is one of those lists, like I sort of hinted on in the last game. Like, it's a fun list. It's just, you know, the deck's kind of done all it can do. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Oh, he has to be Reno, and I just haven't ran into the cards. Yeah. Yeah, he's doing the thing. We need, like, a Reno card. Okay, we're not going to get it. Okay, that's fine. Because I love Banjosaur. Oh, man. God, I want this deck to be good. But yeah, this is pretty indicative of what the deck is like, honestly. A fun list, but it is very much so reached the upper limits of what it can do. But anywho, on to game number 3. And game number 3 with our little Reno Beast Buffy thing. This is almost certainly some sort of combo list. Aggro one, combo or control-y, so we're just gonna go ahead and get rid of the longer game cards and just try and go a little faster. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ran against like a very aggressive mage list in a couple of weeks. It's, yeah, usually something like this. And that's fine. I mean, hell, I don't even see secret mages anymore, and those were, like, used to be, like, really popular. But now it's all, like, questy, very long gamey, usually has some sort of big, well, if it isn't a combo deck, it'll, like, usually very clearly turn a corner at some point, kind of thing. I guess we'll play a Scalehide. Just try and, you know, bait out some kind of inevitable removal they have. Okay, that's something. I'd be very surprised if they're going to play that many creatures, so I think we're just going to ignore the snipe. Although we do have an old Thelder in here. So yeah, in moments like this, although it might the pings might go weird. Sure. We'll go ahead and do this on curve, although we will go face first. Hopefully, since it'll still retain the immunity, it'll actually eat up the volatile skeleton death rattles. But even if it doesn't, that's about as good as that's going to get, so can't really complain too much. Oh, that's a cat scratching on a chair. Hi, sweetheart. What? The dad is busy. He cannot pet and play at the moment. Thank you, though. Oh, and end the turn, not be BM about this if we can afford it. Yeah, honey, you distracted the cat dad. To be fair, that was going to happen, but did, you know, eat up some mana. That's all they did. Okay. It's odd. Guess we'll go ahead and use a cattle rustler. Let's see what we can find. Dispatch Kodo's pretty good. I would prefer to use it when I've, you know, buffed it up some at this rate. Is it what? I don't even know what their excavate is. Is there the one that gives them? Is theirs the one that gives them like a cheap or free Titan? Because that's the only one I can think of that I don't super remember offhand. In the meantime, however, I guess we'll just play some secrets since clearly they're playing creatures. I was, to their credit, I was thoroughly wrong. I was convinced they were going to play basically no creatures. The million-dollar question is if they will avoid my dude and go for my face. Nope, it's not, Ice Trap or whatever. That's pretty good. Oh. Well, it's less good. Yep. Still feeling pretty okay, though, it has to be said. Like, we don't love that, but it's, like, fine. Well, Lorthamar, you would have been nice a turn ago. Sure. We can afford to take a turn off. Next turn, play Lorthamar. Again, just try and get the stats of our minions in our deck just as large as possible to give ourselves the best possible chance of winning. Okay, solid alibi. Is he gonna do some, like... Well, it's fine. You know what? Let's not be salty. We'll play a Lorthmar. Might as well coin and play the Bestial Madness, since there's not much reason at 8 mana to keep the coin around anymore. Oh, I sort of goofed the order of that. I think the correct order is to do the 1/1 and then double, not the other way around. I don't think it's going to matter in the end, but sure, we'll figure out. That is a whole lot of burn spells going to my creature and not to my face. Sure. Does the second one count as a cast independently, or is it all one spell? It's all one spell. Okay. That's good to know. Oh, that's beautiful. Wait a second. Do we have something here? We're at, what, 2020, right? So we could do 10-gallon hats. Prospector's Caravan. And weirdly, I think we can actually go Spurfang in an attempt to try and, like, draw some heat towards us. Is that the coin? Yeah, that's the coin one. Because I think we can get him on turn 10 if we can get there. We might need... Well, let's just see what our opponent does first. I'm starting to become convinced they're also a Reno list. That helps. But I think the repeat quick draw thing is a property of the card and not of the creature. Yeah. And there goes that. This is not great. Oh yeah, we just die. Okay, that works too. To be fair though, that was a loss where we just lost to RNG stuff, and that's gonna happen. But this is honestly kind of rare. Usually a deck will get a win, at least one win in the course of a video, but you know, sometimes it's not always going to happen. And the deck, in the defense of the deck, I know this video might not have been the best showing of it, though it is accurate that sometimes games like this happen, all three of them in which. But like, if you want to try a Beast Buffy Hunter thing and you have all the cards, you can go ahead and run it, and you'll have fun, and you'll for the most part stick around a similar rank as me, so you can get to like the middle ground or the trenches, but you're gonna have a hard time like climbing any further beyond that. But if you are like me and you don't super give a shit about climbing the ranks, like, and you want like a fun and somewhat interesting list that you can like grind quest with and get like levels on your reward track thing, this list will do that, and you'll have a fun time. But yeah, you're just gonna, I would be very, let me be polite. I would be very surprised if you could get this above a gold rank, either with this build or really any other list. I'd be very surprised, because Hearthstone is, to also use a Magic example, because this statement will be true in both Magic and in Hearthstone, at least in, quote, competitive constructed formats. Yes, this is ranked on the internet, but still, the times where a good costed creature with fuck off big stats, like a King Crush, being good, is basically gone. Now, yes, in moments like that where it was like what was it, like 22 damage or something like that, like that's good. And like once you get to that level, if you go far enough, it eventually becomes good, but you have to go really, really, really far with a creature that's basically just stats. You have to go so hard for it to get to a point where it's good, and most instances of your games, you are not going to get that far. You're going to have to make sacrifices and play cards way before then just to not die. So this, sadly, yeah, you just can't, TLDR, really big stats on the body just aren't enough anymore in modern card design in both Magic and in Hearthstone. But it is still fun. So it really depends on what you want out of the game. But anywho, Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and you would like to see more. And if you have any sort of questions, like I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive things, I will do what I can to respond to any comment that I see. Thank you all very much, and have a nice day out there, and have a little fun, even if you lose a few games. Because really, life's already pretty short. Don't go around try-harding everything. Have some fun. Okay. Bye-bye.